So I want to talk a little bit about, you guys have this larger agenda that is just programmatic, and I know TV is a big cornerstone of that, but you talk about it automation holistically. I'd love to get some insight as to how you're organizing, how you're actually, operationalizing around that, and what automation means to Magna.
Sure. If you think about how Media Brands articulates their strategy, they actually call it a barbell strategy. And in that barbell, you have 50% of our media billings are intended to be put through some kind of an automated platform. And the other 50% is actually meant to be focused on custom content. Because we have found two really important pieces in all of the data that we have today. The first is that custom content tends to drive 5 to 8 to 14 times more greater effect than a standard ad unit. And the other piece is that when we can apply data to key decision points in how we do media planning and buying, that we can get 20 to 40% greater ROI, business ROI, on that media investment. So that resulted in this barbell strategy that we have. So when we think about how we want to move forward as an organization, what Matt Seiler spent a lot of time doing is reorganizing Media Brands so that we now have teams set up so that you've got a large group of us focused on driving an automation agenda at the same time that there's another large group of people that are focused on driving the custom content agenda as well. So moving to the automation piece, what we're really focused on is 50% of our media billings going through an automated platform. So if you do the math on programmatic, you see that programmatic is really a small piece of that. And we're not just talking digital spend, we're talking total spend. So we are really pushing aggressively to get to an automated solution for television first and foremost, because at that point we can really push our agenda forward.
Right.
So the way that we laid out the 50% is over a 3-year period. We are now gleefully into year 2 and moving very aggressively. And in year 1, we focused primarily on pushing our programmatic spend, and our goal was to have 5% of our total spend go through programmatic. We actually ended the year at 6.6. So woohoo for us, we blew through our kind of a small goal, but a big goal nonetheless from a programmatic perspective. As we go into year 2, which is 2014, by the end of 2014, we see ourselves getting to 28% of our total billings going through an automated platform, so to speak. And those solutions come from a couple of key places. The first one is certainly an increased spend in programmatic. And secondly is starting to pull out these big areas in our workflow where we have a lot of people getting really bogged down in how they work. And one of the biggest areas that we found is in the buying process, and the fact that our buyers are spending an inordinate amount of time moving RFPs through our organization, as well as our partners, our media partners, moving RFPs through their organization. So we're going to have a lot of focus on that process in particular in 2014, and we have a couple of key partners that we've been working on that solution. Adapt TV being a core partner, as we've had announcements along the way on that, and a couple of other enhancements that we have from secondary providers that are coming together to help us with that as well.
And how does that, if you look at changing sort of the workflow and retooling the organization, the talent mapping and also sort of the talent base and how they work is fundamental to that. How are you tackling that problem? Are partnerships a cornerstone in addressing that business challenge, or how do you move forward there and sort of push through?
It is a big cornerstone. So there are a couple of things that we're really clear on. The first is we're not doing this alone. So everything that we do, we're finding key partners who are like-minded and strategically have set themselves up to be able to join us on that same mission. So really it's kind of a perfect storm. It's a confluence of everybody saying enough. We know that there's enough technology solutions now so that we can all work differently. So we have key partners that are lining up to work with us. Some of those actually are helping us in providing some of the training that we need to be able to bring our own workforce along. So that's a key component of it. The other piece too is the way that Matt, again, has organized media brands. So now we have all investment people, integrated investment people, so traditional as well as digital, all aligned with Magna's initiative to drive this 50% automation. So it's not Magna as a small group sitting in the center kind of going, hey everybody, we got something cool going on. It's everybody is lined up behind this, and so we are all together working toward these solutions. And we're doing it in small groups of people at a time. So one of the biggest things that we've done over the last couple of months is actually kick off a programmatic council, which is going through the entire organization and finding all the hand raisers of programmatic advocates. And we have a couple on each client team now. And they're some of the first movers in terms of people who understand how to apply automation and data to decision making in the way that we do media planning and buying. And that is setting a whole series of lights that are lighting up within the organization in terms of new ways of working.
And does that coalition of the willing, if you will, sort of extend to your media vendors? I mean, do you find that, especially the premium content providers, that you're probably typically buying direct, but there is runoff that you could start to run through automated platforms? Are they raising their hand as well and saying, yeah, we want to support you in this process and help you meet your goals?
They absolutely are. And some of those are actually showing up through the Magna Consortium, which is a group that we formed in September with our charter group of media partners, and so that includes A&E, ESPN, AOL. It's a good, we've got Clear Channel, we've got Cablevision, so we've got local, we've got national, we've got all media represented in the consortium group. And that group is chosen because they were the first hand raisers that said, we too want to start to work in a very different way. It is part of our corporate strategy. Our CEO believes in this, and so therefore we've got the resources that we need. And that's actually very different than what we had tended to gravitate to in the past, which was a guy kind of buried in an organization who had his own interest that was aligned with ours, and we're like, hey, here's somebody who gets it. But what we were finding is that if the company didn't get it, that actually became something that fell apart a little too fast. Right. If that person left because they got frustrated, then suddenly all that time was, while we learned things, it didn't really move us forward in the relationship with that media partner. So this corporate alignment is a key piece of what we're doing now, and we're actually finding that there are more corporations, more CEOs who are interested in behaving in new ways than I think we've ever seen in the past.
That's great. Thank you, Kristi.
You're welcome.
Toby, I'd love to extend a question to you. As a partner of Kristi's and sort of the team at Magna, how much of a responsibility, especially being one of the enabling platforms in the ecosystem, do you take on to train and kind of bring the workforce and the talent pool up to speed to be able to actually execute and acquire media on these platforms?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's something that it took us a couple years to really understand that part of what we need to do is not just provide innovative technology solutions, but that we also had to bring to bear a services and training component. So we've actually invested pretty heavily on that side of our business. We've built out a whole organization that's focused both on initially, we call it Project Jumpstart, where we actually will go in, we will put boots on the ground, if you will, working with the agency partner that we have in training them how to use our system, even doing broader based training around this notion of automation and programmatic. So it's a key part of how we're in market now, is bringing the training and how to use the platform effectively. And they can be 3-month engagements, they can be 18-month engagements. It just really depends on how sophisticated the agency that we're working with is. With regards to Magna, I think that there's a couple key points. One is that and I think Magna is going to be leading a trend that's happening in the industry, which is that they're thinking about technology not as a media tactic, but as a way of changing the way they operate. And it's a very different mindset. We work with some customers who just think of programmatic as a way in which that they're just going to buy, some digital media or something like that. The Magna approach is the one that we've been investing in for quite some time as a company, and this is why we're so excited about the partnership, because we feel like they're the first major agency that we've started to work with who really is thinking about technology in a much broader spectrum. But to your earlier question, it's not just about what we build, the levers and things like that. It's also what we bring to bear in terms of helping them do the change within their organization.
Great.
I think another key piece, and most of which I speak, comes from the relationship that we have with Adapt TV, because they've been such a fabulous partner with us. The training components being a key piece, and the fact that they are on the ready to come in and help work with our teams at whatever point we have even a team that gets stuck and needs some more hands-on training, and that has been a huge resource for us. The other piece that I really like is the marketing capability. So, here's a product marketing organization that is very fluent at knowing how to package things back, and they're actually helping us take things like that back to our clients. So it's a really nice relationship that we like the way that that's developed, and we want to keep adding to that.